In China, some mountains have earned a reputation as death trap. Imagine hanging thousands of feet above the ground, suspended from the side of a sheer cliff, where a single misstep is enough to end everything. This mountain is home to the world's highest free-fall bungee jump. A life or death thrill not meant for the faint of heart. Perched atop a towering pillar of rock, a solitary temple hangs between heaven and earth. These mountains seem to defy every rule of safety. Some places are made for daredevils. Others are so terrifying that simply watching them from behind a screen is enough to leave you holding your breath. Spanning two towering limestone peaks of Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon is a glass bridge suspended 984 feet above the ground. Opened in 2016, it immediately became the world's longest and highest glass bridge. The bridge is built from 99 transparent tempered glass panels. Mountain winds whistle through the steel cables. Every step toward the center sends the bridge trembling. Far below, bottomless cliffs and jagged peaks wait beneath you. The glass feels as though it could crack at any moment. Don't look down for too long. You may grow dizzy, scream, crawl across the glass, or even turn back and run. Despite its fragile appearance, the bridge is remarkably strong. It can safely hold 800 people at once, or a 2-ton vehicle, even with cracked glass panels. And if walking across feels too easy, try the bungee jump. The world's highest commercial bungee is a thrill you'll find nowhere else. Wooden houses extend into open air. Only timber pillars driven deep into the cliffs hold them up. Beneath the balconies is nothing but howling wind and a bottomless abyss. This is the dramatic architecture of Wangxian Valley. To move between the houses, you must cross cliffside plank walkways clinging to the edge. Footsteps echo across the boards as your heart pounds. Below, waterfalls roar without end. When night falls, the entire valley glows with light. Atop White Crane Peak, an artificial moon shines alone above the cliffs. The scene feels like a fairy tale, yet strangely mystical. Despite the unforgiving landscape, life here remains peaceful. Behind the cliffs, centuries-old traditions continue to this day. Perched high on Baishishan Mountain, the Baishishan glass skywalk is built to break even the strongest nerves. Its design is pure madness. One side is anchored to a sheer vertical cliff. The other hangs 5,200 feet above the ground. Fear peaks the moment you step onto the glass. Beneath your feet is empty space with jagged rocks waiting below. All you can do is hold your breath and keep looking forward. On foggy days, a blanket of white swallows everything. It feels like a journey to heaven. Cross the deadly skywalk and you'll reach Shanming platform. This heart-shaped lookout is the reward for those who survive the mountain's most terrifying passage. Huangshan is made up of 72 towering granite peaks, rising 6,100 feet into the sky. Ancient pines grow not from soil, but from cracks in the bare rock. To conquer this deadly mountain, you must climb more than 60,000 stone steps. Carved into steep cliffs, they rise straight toward the summit. It is a test of strength and courage. Visitors inch upward one step at a time, bending low against the wind. Some even press both hands against the rock to keep climbing. Most terrifying of all is Tianzhu Peak, a narrow ridge known as the Dolphin's Spine. The path is barely wide enough for one person. Every step trembles above a sea of clouds. At that moment, survival depends on the ropes stretched between the stone pillars. Carved into the sheer red sandstone cliffs of the Taihang Mountains are a series of open windows with cars passing through them. This hidden road is called the Guoyang Tunnel. More than 650 feet above the valley floor, It was born from an extraordinary struggle. In 1972, 13 villagers spent 5 years carving a tunnel through the mountain using only hand tools. To bring in light and remove broken rock, they carved 35 windows into the cliff. Drivers are forced to look straight into the bottomless gorge on one side and the vertical rock wall on the other. The stone guardrails are incredibly low. There are no safety barriers or protective glass. The road is painfully narrow. When another vehicle approaches, you can only edge closer to the cliff. From outside, cars appear and disappear through the windows, creating a remarkable sight. But inside, the constant shift between light and darkness can blur a driver's vision and lead to fatal mistakes. Rising above the clouds of Guizhou, Mount Fanjing looks like a masterpiece of nature. Its summit is split into 2 towering peaks by a deep, narrow chasm. The climb tests both your strength and your courage. Thousands of stone steps cling to the mountainside. The path is narrow and slick with moss. One side is solid rock, the other drops into a bottomless abyss. Every step must be careful. Your hands grip the cold iron chains. Many visitors stop halfway, unable to go any farther. Above the clouds, an impossible sight appears. A centuries-old stone bridge connects the 2 peaks. A sacred temple stands atop each summit. The view leaves everyone asking the same question. How were building materials ever carried to such an unforgiving place? Perhaps that sacredness is why thousands are willing to risk their lives for a single moment of inner peace. Would you dare walk along a narrow dragon's back with no guardrails? In China's Hunan province lies Gao Yiling, a winding Danxia landscape. Its crimson cliffs are smooth and bare, surrounded by deep blue lakes that gave rise to legends of dragons and ancient gods. Its most famous feature is a narrow trail running along a natural ridge, twisting through the sky like a ribbon. The ridge is barely wide enough for 1 or 2 people. There are no guardrails. Steep slopes plunge away on both sides. In fog or rain, one wrong step leaves no second chance. Above the mountain hangs a glass walkway. One side is anchored to the cliff. The other extends in the open air without a single support beneath it. Transparent glass panels make every step feel suspended above the abyss. For centuries, the Leshan giant Buddha has been surrounded by mysterious legends. Sitting above the meeting point of three rivers, this colossal stone statue dominates the landscape. A grown adult standing below is shorter than one of its toes. One ear alone is large enough for dozens of people to stand inside. To view the Buddha from above, you must descend the narrow 9 bends plank road beside the cliff. The path is carved directly into red rock. In some places, you have to press against the damp cliff face. Below, muddy water rushes past. Long ago, the meeting of these 3 rivers created deadly whirlpools that swallowed countless boats. Today, the mountain's sacred atmosphere remains a challenge for every traveler. Every temple stands on a mountaintop. Some are carved directly into the mountains themselves. Clinging to the cliffs of Shanxi province, Mount Mian is home to one of China's most extraordinary temple complexes. Ancient halls like Daluo Palace and Yunfeng Temple are built into caves. Their sweeping roofs hang above the cliffs like giant birds' nests. To reach them, you must climb zigzag stone stairways attached directly to the mountainside. Beneath your feet is empty space filled with the cold wind rising from the valley. Above the temples, bronze bells tied with red ribbons hang from the cliffs. The wind carries their echoes through the mountains. One question remains. Who placed these bells so high above the ground, and how did they do it? The clouds of Hubei rises Wudang Mountain, an isolated sacred land. At its highest point, Tianzhu Peak disappears behind walls of mist. Standing on the summit is the Golden Hall. Cast entirely from gilded bronze, the Taoist temple shines above the clouds. Far below at Nanyan Palace, an incense burner sits on a narrow dragon-shaped rock jutting over the abyss. To place a stick of incense there, worshippers must crawl across the stone on their hands and knees. A single gust of wind is enough to freeze them in place. There are no guardrails, no support, only faith. Few realize this dangerous mountain is also the birthplace of Tai Chi. Surrounded by towering peaks, its slow, flowing movements are practiced every day. Perhaps this is a unique conversation between humanity, nature, and the spirit. Hidden deep inside a massive cave, the Dajin Mountain Hanging Temple is surrounded by towering orange-red Danxia cliffs. Nestled beneath the rock vault is a complex of deep red buildings topped with weathered grey roofs. Curved temple roofs sit beneath the giant cliff, defying gravity itself. Massive wooden beams are driven deep into the rock. Beneath them stands a single red pillar supporting the entire structure. The only way in is a narrow corridor with steep stone steps. Every footstep across the wooden floor echoes through the mountain. Despite its impossible location, this sacred complex continues to draw countless visitors. One by one, they make the slow climb toward this extraordinary sanctuary. Towering over Sichuan province, Mount Emei rises more than 10,000 feet above the world below. From above, the mountain looks like an isolated island. Sheer cliffs plunge into the abyss, surrounded year-round by a sea of clouds. Its isolation gave rise to one of China's greatest Buddhist sanctuaries. Perched at the cliff's edge is the Golden Summit, where golden-roofed temples stand high above the clouds. Most striking of all is the gilded statue of Samantabhadra. Seated upon a six-tusked white elephant and facing all 10 directions. The only trail to the summit climbs thousands of steep stone steps along the cliffs. Although a cable car now shortens the journey, reaching the windswept Golden Summit remains a dramatic challenge. Rising 3,773 feet Above Zhejiang Province, Yandang Mountain is built to push human limits. The challenge begins with a glass bridge hanging above the cliffs. Transparent panels reveal the abyss below, turning every step into a gamble. Before your heartbeat slows, a swaying suspension bridge awaits. Mountain winds send it rocking from side to side. Then comes the stairway to heaven. A nearly vertical rope ladder that defies gravity and every climbing skill you have. Every rung is a fight to keep going. The final test is a sheer via ferrata cliff. Solid rock on one side, empty space on the other. Every move demands absolute focus. There is no room for mistakes. Yandang Mountain is not for the faint of heart. It is a brutal test of fear itself. Clinging to the sheer cliffs of Mount Heng, the Hanging Monastery stands about 246 feet above the ground. More astonishing still, it was built over 1,500 years ago. The entire complex includes 40 halls and chambers anchored deep into the cliff. Narrow wooden corridors and stairways connect every hall. From a distance, the monastery looks like a cluster of bird nests suspended in mid-air. Slender wooden pillars disappear into the mountainside below. Its extraordinary design left the great poet Li Bai in awe. He carved the words "magnificent view" into the rock in admiration. Would you dare step inside this one-of-a-kind monastery? Our next stop is Shuangte Mountain. From a flat valley, two massive stone pillars rise into the sky like forgotten columns holding up the heavens. While green forests surround them below, the pillars remain grey, barren, and weathered by time. Unlike most mountain peaks, Shuangte Mountain stands beside a busy town. Yet even surrounded by people, it has never lost its mystery. Atop each pillar stands an ancient brick pagoda from the Liao dynasty. Watching over the valley for more than 1,000 years. One of them, on the southern pillar, has been heavily damaged. Look closely at the smooth rock columns. There is no trail, no staircase, no visible way to reach the summit. Centuries later, one question still remains unanswered. How did ancient builders carry their materials to the top of these impossible pillars? From a distance, Maiji Mountain looks like nothing more than a lonely rock. But as you get closer, an architectural wonder slowly comes into view. Carved into the red sandstone are countless cave entrances packed together like an open-air honeycomb. Zigzagging wooden stairways and walkways connect them across the cliff. Step onto these wind-blown paths and it feels as though you're walking among the clouds. Beneath your feet lies nothing but empty space and a bottomless drop. Ahead stands a towering group of 3 giant Buddha statues carved directly from the cliff. Their flowing robes blend seamlessly into the rough natural rock. Above the maze of caves at the tree-covered summit, a solitary white pagoda stands quietly against the sky. The highest peak are the Qinling Mountains. Mount Taibai is defined by its extreme weather. Summer covers the mountain in dense green forests. Winter transforms it into a silent world of ice and snow. Its landscape changes with elevation. Broadleaf forests give way to moss-covered slopes. Then barren grey rock high above the cloud. Despite the freezing temperatures, its alpine lakes remain crystal clear throughout the year. To reach the summit, you must follow narrow rocky ridges. When fog rolls in, the trail disappears into white. One wrong step becomes a race against death. Mingyue Mountain deserves its place among China's most dangerous peaks. 12 mountains over 3,000 feet tall form a giant crescent around a deep valley. Ancient pines grow from narrow cracks in the cliffs. Their twisted branches reach into the wind like hands clinging to empty space. To cross the heart of the mountain, you must walk the Qingyun Plank Road. Suspended nearly 5,000 feet above the ground. The concrete walkway is fixed directly to the cliffs, circling the entire mountain. Walking here is a true test of courage. Thick fog swallows the view. Mountain winds howl along the suspended path. Together they turn Mingyue Mountain into a breathtaking maze. Mount Jinfo was shaped by ancient geological faults. It rises like a massive stone fortress. Millions of years of wind and water carved its cliffs into towering walls of rock. Wrapped around the mountain is the mile-long Jinfo Plank Road, stretching through the sky like a narrow ribbon. Every step between the cliff and the open air quickens your breath. Return in winter and the mountain becomes almost unrecognizable. Snow blankets the landscape as sharp ice formations rise toward the sky. The wooden walkway is covered in thick ice, making every step dangerously slippery. Just looking at it is enough to make your heart race. Those who still cross it seem to be tempting death itself. Perched 16,027 feet above sea level, Drak Yerpa is one of Tibet's most sacred and dangerous spiritual sites. Its ancient monastery is built directly into towering grey limestone cliffs. From afar, the red-roofed temples look like stone boxes growing from the mountainside. The entrance is narrow and silent. To move between the temples, you must climb steep stone stairways winding along the edge of the abyss. At this altitude, the air is painfully thin. Every step toward Drak Yerpa is both a test of survival and a confrontation with death. Yet the monastery still stands, a symbol of resilience defying both nature and gravity. Hidden beneath the mist of Jiangxi, Daju Mountain rises with sheer cliffs, plunging into a deep basin. Clouds surround it year-round, creating a landscape that tests your courage. Winding along the mountainside are narrow rail tracks, hanging like threads. Nearly 1/3 of the route is anchored directly into the cliffs. Inside the glass cabin, the abyss stretches beneath your feet. It feels as though you're suspended between life and death. The cable car climbs higher, passing through the clouds above raging water below. Even the slightest sway is enough to make anyone shut their eyes and pray. Amid the endless cliffs stands a giant Buddha in solemn silence, inspiring both fear and awe. Sanqing Mountain reveals nature at its most unforgiving. Razor-sharp granite peaks rise like thousands of giant blades. At nearly 6,000 feet, even the clouds seem to be torn apart by them. Few realize that beneath these deadly cliffs sit tiny houses clinging to the mountainside. Wrapping around the peaks are narrow plank walkways hugging the vertical rock. Only simple railings separate you from the abyss. Every step demands caution. One mistake could send you straight into the void. Towering above the cliffs is the mountain's most famous formation, giant python emerging from the mountain. Rising 420 feet high, the pillar of rock resembles a giant cobra, lifting its head to strike. This motionless beast has guarded the mountain for thousands of years. No one has dared disturb its sacred presence. Would you risk your life on mountain trails thousands of feet above the ground to reach a sacred sanctuary? If so, Laojun Mountain awaits. Inside the national park, jagged cliffs rise sharply into the clouds. Crowning the summit is a palace complex completely separated from the world below. Golden temple roofs shine against the grey stone. Winter transforms the mountain into a lonely kingdom of ice. Snow buries the rooftops and fills the deep ravines, daring anyone to continue. The only way up is a steep stone staircase, separated from the abyss by a single low railing. Red prayer ribbons flutter along the trail, carrying wishes of safety with every step. Across the endless plains of Inner Mongolia, giant cone-shaped craters rise from the horizon. This is the ancient volcanic field of Woolanhata Volcano Geopark. The landscape preserves the scars of eruptions millions of years old. deep craters are surrounded by dark volcanic rock and rough layers of ash. Today, the volcanoes are completely dormant. The lava has long since cooled, yet the scorched terrain remains dry and barren. Despite its remote location, Ulaanbaatar draws countless visitors. Many come dressed as astronauts, walking across the dark volcanic ground. The landscape feels less like Earth and more like the surface of Mars. Through the morning mist. Tianzhu Mountain rises over Anhui Province like a masterpiece of stone. Smooth grey granite peaks stand like giant pillars reaching into the sky. Time and wind have carved them into strange shapes, disappearing into the clouds. The only route to the summit is a narrow stone staircase climbing the mountain ridge. At times, the cliffs disappear from view, and the steps seem to float through the sky toward heaven. Beyond the fear lies something sacred. Standing atop the windswept summit is Zhenwu Temple, a Taoist sanctuary more than 1,300 years old. Bronze bells ring with the mountain winds, where earth and sky seem to become one. Mount Tai in Shandong Province stands first among China's 5 great mountains. Rising over 5,000 feet, it is a massive granite mountain crowned by towering cliffs. The only route to the summit climbs more than 6,600 ancient stone steps. The most terrifying section is the 18 bends, where the staircase rises at an angle of nearly 60 degrees. The climb drains every ounce of your strength. Your legs grow heavy. Your breathing quickens. Bottomless cliffs surround the narrow, slippery steps crowded with visitors. Standing alone at the summit is the ancient Jade Emperor Temple. Its weathered rooftops rise above a sea of clouds like an imperial palace. Legends of ancient emperors still linger here, filling the mountain with a sacred atmosphere that commands respect. Mount Hua in Anhui province is one of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains. It is revered as the spiritual home of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Ancient temples cling to steep cliffs more than 4,000 feet above the ground. Reaching them means climbing thousands of stone steps through the clouds. Towering above the mountain stands a 325-foot gilded bronze statue of Ksitigarbha. He stands in silence, holding a monk's staff in one hand and a wish-fulfilling jewel in the other, gazing over the wall below. Winter transforms the mountain into another realm. Snow blankets the temples and ancient pines, turning the entire landscape into a place of perfect stillness. Danxia Mountain in Guangdong province is home to more than 680 spectacular red sandstone formations. Formed during the Cretaceous period, these towering cliffs rise about 1,000 feet above the surrounding forests. Millions of years of erosion have carved them into sheer walls of stone. Its greatest attraction is the deep red colour of its iron-rich sandstone. Layered rock bands glow beneath the morning sun. Standing in sharp contrast to the winding river below. Among them rises the mountain's most famous formation, Yangyuan Stone. The solitary pillar bears an uncanny resemblance to the male anatomy. Standing beside a towering cliff, it remains one of nature's most extraordinary sculptures. There is a mountain that seems to defy the laws of physics. It is Tayun Mountain in Shanxi province. Perched atop an isolated rock pillar, more than 5,000 feet high, stands the White Guanyin Hall. The temple covers barely 65 square feet. 3 sides of the pillar drop straight down in perfect vertical cliffs. Behind it lies nothing but bare rock suspended above the abyss. Built during the Ming dynasty, the tiny temple has endured more than 5 centuries of wind and storms. Yet it still stands. Its resilience continues to draw millions of pilgrims and visitors. Would you dare spend a night inside this extraordinary temple? On the plank walk in the sky, one careless moment can become a death sentence. Suspended more than 6,500 feet above the ground, it is known as the world's most dangerous hiking trail. Between you and the abyss lie only weathered wooden planks. Some no wider than a single foot. Rusted iron bolts are all that hold them against the cliff. Your only lifeline is a cold iron chain. The wind howls through the mountains. Every step is a gamble with death. Every breath tightens your chest. 700 years ago, Taoist monks built this impossible path in search of immortality. They believed only by standing at the edge of death could one leave the mortal world behind and reach true enlightenment. The journey across China's deadliest mountains may be over, but their images are not easily forgotten. Balance between life and death. These mountains test more than courage. They are places where people seek peace for the soul. Would you risk your life to stand upon these extraordinary peaks? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to join us for the next incredible adventure.